I am on the floor and y'all know what that means. It is time to do some plant chores. I have a couple of little plant things that I need to do, nothing major, but I thought I would turn on the camera and we could do them together. So please, if you have any plant chores of your own, grab them because doing plant chores together is always a lot more fun. I hope you will enjoy this video. It will probably be a little bit of a shorter one just because I don't have too much to do, but I still want to hang out with you guys and talk all about plants. Before we get into the plant chores themselves, I just want to talk a little bit about how I'm trying to really curate my collection and how I'm trying to really just focus in on every single plant in my collection and try to make them just the best version of themselves. You know, bring out the best in every single one of my plants. Obviously that is hard, but I'm trying my best, and I also decided that I don't want to bring in any more new plants, at least right now. Like maybe if I find like a really cool one, but I feel like it's so easy to get hung up on getting new plants and just the overconsumption of plants when you are in this hobby, and I'm really trying to fight that, and I'm trying to just love the plants that I have because I have so many amazing plants already, and it's like I don't feel the desire or the need to add any more new plants to my collection because obviously I just have so many and I have literally all the plant types that I would like. So with that in mind, I really want to just bring out the best in the plants that I have. And I have a couple of plants that are perhaps not bringing me joy right now. So what we're going to be starting off with is a bit of a reset on some of my climbing plants. In particular, my climbing Epipremnums. So this over here is the Manjula Pothos. She is stunning, beautiful, absolutely love her. And then over here we have the Enjoy Pothos, another pothos that I love. I love the variegation on both of these plants. They are beautiful. However, both of these plants are just kind of getting neglected in my collection. And as you can probably see, the Enjoy is pretty much at the top of its moss pole and it does need an extension, but I just do not feel like extending it because this is only like one vine up in here, and I don't know, it's pretty, but I feel like it could be better. And then the Enjoy, or the Manjula over here, I have actually, I'm actually growing in pon right now, and I just feel like I don't need to be growing so many plants in pon, and that is something that we're going to be talking about as well later on in the video. So what I want to do, now this might be a little bit controversial, but I'm gonna chop up these two girlies. I know. People usually don't like when I chop up like established plants, but I want to do it. And what I want to do is take cuttings from both of these plants and then eventually pot them up together and have two vines, one Manjula and one Enjoy, climbing up the same moss pole. Because these two plants, although they are different, they kind of give me the similar vibes. I do prefer maybe the Manjula just a tiny little bit more, but I also love the Enjoy. And I thought like just having these two, like look at that, just like these two plants growing on one moss pole, I think would look really stunning. And I could also downsize my moss poles because that is something that I am also kind of considering and wanting to do more of in the future. Like, I don't know, I'm just kind of over the moss pole game. Like, there are definitely plants that I love having on moss poles, and I definitely can't deny the effect that a moss pole has on my plants' growth, obviously, but like keeping up with them, mostly like just keeping them moist, especially in these like hot summer days, and like just the mess. Moss poles I find are so freaking messy, and I'm just not here for it anymore. I just do not have the time of day to constantly be vacuuming, constantly be watering them, constantly be chopping, extending them. So my goal in life is to just kind of downsize my moss pole collection even a little bit. And I feel like by combining these two, I could just have one gorgeous lush plant growing up one moss pole. But a moss pole that I am completely getting rid of is my Epipremnum Pinnatum marble. And now this is a plant, you can tell it's severely dehydrated. This is a plant that I really, really love. However, as you can probably tell, it started to revert and is now giving me basically like all green leaves. And I'm just not loving it. I'm just really not loving it. And also both of these plants, so the Manjula and the Epipremnum Pinnatum marble, both live in front of my Mother Plant Spectrum grow light. And y'all know my opinions when it comes to the Mother grow lights. I'm not a fan. I made a whole video. You can check it out if you haven't seen it. I can just tell that that light doesn't provide nearly enough light for my plants. And like, if it can't provide enough light for Pothoses, like girl, how is it gonna provide for anything else? Like, if you can't provide light for a Pothos, come on, the bar is in the basement. So yeah, anyway, these two, like they're doing fine, but they're not sizing up or anything. And like I said, this plant completely lost its variegation, which isn't necessarily the fault of the grow light itself. Like variegation can be lost for multiple reasons, but this is not doing it for me. So what I want to do with this plant as well is just like hack it up completely, keep some of these like pretty variegated sections, and probably honestly just pot it up with my other trailing Epipremnum pinnatum, the albo variegata, because I do have a beautiful albo variegata that's climbing, that's gorgeous, tall, bushy, big, like has big leaves, and I would rather keep that one in my collection than care for this mess. So yeah, anyway, that was a lot of talking. I am so sorry. I just wanted to explain my thought process and just let you know what's been going on behind the scenes and what I'm trying to do in order to really improve my houseplant collection. And I also hope that this will motivate you to also maybe reevaluate your plant collection. Think about what you can do to improve them, and instead of constantly buying new plants, perhaps just look at the plants that you already have and try to find joy in those plants. Okay, I'm sorry, that was so long. That was so much talking. Let's get to work. I got my shears over here, and let's start up with hacking up the Epipremnum pinnatum marble. So basically, I'm just gonna chop it. I am not gonna overthink it too much. I am just gonna chop it. I'm also gonna get rid of all of the aerial roots, because this did root into the moss pole, which is fabulous, but it's just not, it's like it's sizing up a little bit, but honestly nowhere near as much as I would like it to. And like I already mentioned, I do have already a beautiful Epipremnum pinnatum albo that is sizing up and looking absolutely stunning. So honestly, I don't need two of the same plant, especially when this one is just like reverting, and you can tell how much I neglect this plant, because this is literally just like bone dry. But yeah, I don't know. I don't want to keep plants like that in my collection. I would rather grow a plant that maybe isn't as variegated, but is just more beautiful. But I mean, the variegation of this plant is really, really stunning. Like, this is so freaking gorgeous, and I do love it, but it's just, if I'm neglecting it and if it doesn't bring me any joy, what's the point? What's the point of keeping it? So that is something that I really want to encourage all of you to think about. Like, if there is a plant in your collection that it's just not bringing you joy and that you're just keeping for whatever reason, honestly, it's okay. It's okay to get rid of it. It's okay to restart a plant. You can always restart a plant, but like, for example, you can tell, like, this is just not well. This is so not well. I have a couple of these like really pretty variegated sections. I honestly don't know if this will even make it, considering how dehydrated it is. I might just honestly keep this section as is and just propagate it as is. Like, I don't know, or should I chop it? I think I should probably chop it. You know what? No, I'm just gonna remove the bottom leaves. Okay, so I'm gonna remove the bottom leaves, and then this is gonna be my first cutting. And then I have this long boy section over here. I'm just gonna take off I don't know, like it basically started reverting around this leaf over here. And what happens, I will show you actually what happens. The variegation, if you look at the stem of the plant, so if you look at the stem of the plant, you can see there's variegation on one side of the stem, but the other one is basically completely green. So that means that if the leaf is growing on the side where the stem is completely green, it will most likely turn out to be not variegated. And if it grows on the side that does have the variegation, then it will most likely have some variegation as well. So that is just kind of like a good tip and kind of a good sign to look out for if you are interested in variegated plants. Having variegated leaves is very important, but honestly, I find that having a variegated stem is even more important. So my hot tip when it comes to shopping around for variegated plants, look at the stem and make sure that the stem has like good balanced variegation and that it doesn't have the white on just like one side of the stem, because most likely you will have some reverting issues in that case. Make sure that the whole stem has kind of like that nice stripy, marbly variegation. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with this section. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and chop off this leaf that's also reverted and then just keep this. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and remove this leaf, and I'm also gonna remove this old moss pole root. You can keep these, like they're not gonna harm your plant, but it's like, why keep it? It's dry, it's shriveled, it's not doing anything. So I'm gonna remove it. And these are the two cuttings that I'm gonna keep. Yeah, okay. These are the two cuttings that I'm gonna keep. And all of this I'm gonna get rid of. And I will still have the plant, which is nice, but I will probably, like I said, just pot it up with my trailing Albopinatum, just so again I have one less moss pole and one less plant that I need to take care of. Now this one's gonna hurt a little bit, and I know some people will be upset, but listen, it will be fine. And again, do you hear how freaking crunchy this moss pole is? So I haven't been keeping up with watering it. There's just no point in keeping any of the moss pole roots because they're just dried up, shriveled mess. So I think I'm gonna take two cuttings of the Enjoy and the Manjula just so I have a backup, because sometimes cuttings do not make it. And I'm just gonna go ahead and chop it somewhere over here. And again, I'm just gonna remove these moss pole, oh god, roots. This is really rooted in here. Okay. And you can absolutely keep them. You can even try to, pull them out of the moss pole and already have like a good root system to go. That is definitely an option. That is probably the preferable option if I'm being honest. But like I mentioned, I just know that these moss pole roots are A, dead, and B, I would just rather regrow like new roots and just like really have a fresh start with this plant. But I love how Pothoses just root into the moss pole so easily. Like there are plants that are so hard to get rooted into a moss pole. For example, a verrucosum. A verrucosum just does not want to cling to a moss pole. Like you really have to make sure that it is super close to the moss pole, or that you have high humidity, of course. But Pothoses, they freaking love to climb, and I do love that about them. But then when it comes time to doing stuff like this, it gets a little bit harder. But here we go. Oh my god, this is crazy. Whoo! Okay, we got it. Okay, where did I chop? Did I chop it? Oh yeah, I did chop it. Over here. Okay. There we go. And also another thing about like Pothoses is you can see like there is like roots all the way along the stem. Like these are absolutely crazy. But yeah, that is our vine, and this section I'm just gonna get rid of. I mean, it's ugly anyway. It has like so many like beat up, damaged leaves, but this section has some really pretty gorgeous leaves, and I love the variegation of the Enjoy. It's such like a unique color and variegation, and also like the green itself is very unique. It's very like muted, and I love that. I love that so much, and that's why I don't want to get rid of this plant. I just want to give it a little bit of a reset. Now, how am I gonna do this? Honestly, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and chop it over here, and then just remove the bottom leaves. And if you are new to propagating, when it comes to propagating, you always want to make sure that you have a node. The node is this like swollen section along the stem, and that's where the new roots will come out of. And also you want to make sure that you do have a auxiliary bud. Over here you can see the auxiliary bud. That is where the new shoot will most likely come out of. So yeah, that is our first little section. And I remove a couple of the lower leaves just so I have, you know, more space to actually put the plant in water. And also when potting it up, so I can bury the stem a little bit deeper in the soil. I'm just gonna go ahead and remove some of these like little tiny roots over here. Okay, so that is our first section, and then over here, I don't know, this one is a little bit uglier. I don't know why, honestly, because this is like the top section, but it's a little jink. It's not bad by any means, but it is a little jink. So I'm just gonna go ahead and remove the lowest leaf and propagate it as is. So yeah, we have two little sections of the Enjoy, but I will be potting up only one. I just want to, just in case, because sometimes shit happens and plants just do not root. And now the Manjula, another one that kind of hurts, but I already restarted this plant once and it's fine. Like, I trust this plant. I've had a beautiful big Manjula. I'm not worried about this plant at all, but like I mentioned, I have been growing it in semi-hydro, but like this reservoir just kept being bone dry and just completely neglected. So it just needs a little bit of a facelift, I guess. So we're gonna go ahead and give it ye good old chop. And I think this is pretty much not rooted at all, because this moss pole I have not been keeping moist at all. But yeah, there you go, first a little section. And like, look at that, the Manjula is so stunning. And in particular, my specimen has such gorgeous variegation. Now, because this specimen in particular is so variegated, I'm not sure. This might not fare well for it, because usually, obviously, variegated plants have a lot less chlorophyll in them, which means a lot less energy production for the plant. And usually when you are rooting these like highly variegated plants, things can go south. But there we go, a little 3-leaf cutting, and I want to take one more. Okay, so I hacked it up completely, and now I have a couple of options when it comes to another cutting. Okay, this section looks quite nice. I don't think I'm gonna use this one. This one looks just like a little bit damaged and not that great, so I'm gonna compost that one. Then we have this section, which does have a little bit more green. So I don't know, should I do right or left? I'm not sure. I wish I need to do like a Plant Chores live stream sometime, because honestly, I am so indecisive, and it would really help me out if you guys were here with me. But you know what? I'm gonna go with this one. I don't know why. Like, my gut is telling me to go with this one. Although, as you can tell, I already chopped this section over here sometimes, so you can see this is a new section, and then this was the old section. And this one, I mean, it's kind of the same thing. So I might just remove, this old section just so I don't have that. That was the prettiest leaf on this section, but it's fine. She will grow new pretty leaves in no time. So that is our Manjula cutting. Quite a bit smaller than the Enjoy, but like, I don't know, like, do you see the vision? Do you see the vision? Because they look so similar. I feel like they would look cute. I could even put like 3. Maybe like 1 Manjula and 2 Enjoys, or like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. As of right now, I have my cuttings. That's all I needed. So I have 2 Enjoy cuttings and 2 Manjula cuttings. And honestly, I just feel so much better now that I've cut it up and am done with that story. Because like I said, these plants have just been kind of stressing me out and not bringing me joy. And if a plant is stressing you out, the best thing you can do is either get rid of it or chop it up and restart it. Honest to God, just do it. I have never once regretted getting rid of a plant or restarting a plant, especially restarting a plant. Like, they will grow back. It might take some time and they won't look that gorgeous for a long time, but like, give it a year, give it 2 years, give it 3 years, and the plant will be back in action in no time. And honestly, if you have a hard time making decisions because like something will take a long time, a advice that I heard that I absolutely love is that time will pass anyway. Like, it doesn't matter what you do, it will pass. So might as well do something that in the long run will make you a lot happier, rather than keep a plant that is not bringing you joy and then like get rid of it in like maybe a year or 2. So I would rather restart a plant and start anew and then have a beautiful lush specimen in a couple of years, rather than take care and be stressed out by a plant that is just not bringing me joy right now, and I would still have to take care of the plant. So this way I have cuttings. Cuttings are a lot easier to take care of, and once they root, I can start a new plant. I have 2 more tasks to do, and these should be a little bit easier, and also no chopping involved, so don't worry, hold your horses. We are done with the chopping. Now we are only doing the positive stuff, and starting off with my Philodendron Melanochrysum, and I am pretty sure that this is the first time that I have showed my plant on this channel. Boy, oh boy, me and this plant, we go way back. I got this plant a couple of years ago. I absolutely loved it. I managed to grow like pretty sizable leaves on it, and then it just went downhill so quickly. It got thrips, it got spider mites, it got root rot. It was just issue after issue after issue, and I tried so hard to rescue that plant. I tried chopping it up, I tried doing so many things, and ultimately what I did is I just ended up hacking it into pieces, chucking it in my prop box, and just letting it do its thing. And I haven't done anything with it for like months and months and months. And then like sometime last year, I potted the little chunks into semi-hydro. And now I want to put this on a moss pole, because while yes, this is still a very, very small plant, in my experience, when it comes to growing plants on moss poles, the sooner you can get them started and attached to a moss pole, the better. And especially a plant like the Melanochrysum, which is known for having a difficult juvenile teenage phase. Like, this plant will give you such a hard time until it reaches some sort of maturity. I feel like once these are like mature specimens, they're a lot easier, but when they're juvenile like this, it is a total, it's a battle. It is a battle, I'm not gonna lie with you, but I wanna put this on a moss pole. And also, I know that right now I have been growing this in semi-hydro, and I talked about how much I love semi-hydro, but I think I wanna switch this back into soil. I wanna try it in soil. Honestly, as much as I love semi-hydro, I prefer growing my plants in soil. That's something that I've realized like over the past couple of months as well. Like, semi-hydro is great, but if you miss a watering, if the reservoir goes dry, it's a lot more difficult than when like a soil plant goes dry. You know what I mean? Both have pros and cons, obviously, but I feel like I want to try this plant in soil. And I am gonna be using the premium aeroid mix, or supreme, sorry, aeroid mix by Plant Scraper. I freaking love this mix. It is so chunky and delicious. I absolutely love it. And I will be putting this plant on one of these small front opening moss poles. And I just hope and I pray that she will do fine, because honestly, I seriously just want a beautiful Melanochrysum back in my collection. I feel like the Melano is one of the most beautiful philodendrons out there. Like, I love my Splendid, I love the Glorious, but nothing can compare to a healthy Melanochrysum. That being said, having a healthy Melanochrysum is extremely difficult. So I honestly, I don't have high hopes, especially not in my environment, but hey, a girl can dream. Okay, I think I first want to actually assemble the moss pole. So let's go ahead and do that. And I just have some moss pole mix over here. This is also from Plant Scraper, and it's just basically like sphagnum moss and like some cocoa chips and stuff like that. Honestly, when it comes to moss poles, I know I literally started this video ranting about moss poles, and now I'm putting a plant back on a moss pole. I know, kind of ironic, but I know for a fact that the Melano just can't, it can't do without a moss pole. Maybe if you had like really ideal conditions, but in my conditions, it's not gonna do well without a moss pole. Like, it's not gonna do well in general, and without a moss pole, it's just, I don't think I could, especially size up a Melano. And that's the thing. I don't want to get rid of all of my moss poles, right? Because I see how good they are for my plants. Like, I see that my plants love moss poles. But I want to be smart about who gets the moss pole. You know what I mean? And I don't want to give a moss pole, because what I used to do before, I would be like, oh, this plant is a climber, so I'm going to give it a moss pole. But nowadays, I'm trying to be a lot more conservative when it comes to, you know, who gets a moss pole. And I only give plants a moss pole if they're just really like the love of my life, basically. And I'm actually looking at my Majestic right now, who has been annoying me just a tiny little bit lately. And I am thinking of maybe removing that one from its moss pole as well, because right now I am growing it on a moss pole, and I would like to see how it would do without one, because I think, now I could be wrong, but I think the Majestic is one of those philodendrons that has a pretty easy time like sizing up without a moss pole. I could be wrong, so please, if you know, or if you have experience growing a Majestic without a moss pole, please leave them down below. I would love to hear from you guys. You guys always have like just the most amazing insights, because yeah, I don't know, there are definitely plants that I don't want to, like, I want to keep on moss poles just because I do want to keep their size and stuff. But some plants, I'm just like, do you really need a moss pole? Like, I'm not so sure. And the Majestic is one of those. Like, I don't think I would ever grow my Splendid without a moss pole, just because it looks so amazing on a moss pole. But I feel like the Majestic would be fine. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe if it pisses me off some more, then I might remove it from the moss pole. The moss pole is assembled, and I'm starting off with this small one just because like this is such a tiny freaking plant, and if I were to put it on one of like my big moss poles, it would just look absolutely ridiculous. But that's why I actually really love these front opening moss poles, because when the time comes that I need to give this plant a bigger moss pole, I could just like remove it and move it over to a bigger moss pole. So yeah, that is really nice. Should I move this soil? You know what? Probably the smart thing would be to keep it in semi-hydro, because that's what it's known its whole like life. But for some reason, and I don't know why, but my gut is telling me to move this thing into soil. So I'm gonna listen to my gut. Sometimes you just gotta listen to your gut. It might be wrong, but hey, it is what it is. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use a little 12-centimeter pot. And yes, I know it's disgusting, it's used. I don't like washing my pots. Okay, whatever, sue me. So we're gonna do this. This is gonna be a cute little combo. And again, I'm gonna be using Plant Scraper's Supreme Aeroid mix, and I just love this mix so much. Like, you can see just how nice and chunky it is. Also, this has some tree fern fibers, so I really love this mix. And actually, I'm first gonna go ahead and fill up the moss pool. Alrighty, then I'm gonna do a little flippy, and then I'm gonna put some soil at the bottom. And yeah, this is just such a nice chunky mix, so I think she will enjoy this. And also, this does have tree fern fiber, and I find that tree fern fiber for my plants is it's like magic. It's literally like crack, especially for like my Hoyas. My Hoyas absolutely love tree fern fiber, and I know like a lot of Amphibium growers like swear by tree fern fibers. So I don't see why a philodendron wouldn't like tree fern fiber, but we will see. Here goes nothing. I'm gonna go ahead and pull her out. Okay, getting all of the semi-hydro off, but you can see she has some stunning, beautiful, healthy roots. This is what we like to see. Absolutely gorgeous. Now, these are technically water roots, and I am technically transitioning them back into a organic material, and I can't say that I've done that much. Like, I don't think I've done that. I've maybe done it like once or twice. So I don't know if this transition will go well or not. And also, this does have like 2 plants in here, but I'm just gonna go ahead and do it, and we will see. We will see. I will definitely keep you up to date, but I would really love if I could have like just a beautiful, gorgeous Milano. It would really just be a dream of mine to have like a beautiful Milano and a beautiful Queen Amphibium. Those are kind of like my dream plants that I constantly struggle with. They are, in my opinion, some of the most beautiful houseplants out there, but they are both, unfortunately, just the biggest divas, like literally the biggest drama queens. So, I don't know. Wish us luck, and if you have any tips, literally any tips at all when it comes to growing the Milano, please let me know. Please let me know, because a girl needs help, and I know that these technically love a lot of humidity, but I'm not willing to go down the humidifier route. I'm not willing to give this thing anything extra. Like, if it doesn't do well in my ambient conditions under my care, honestly, maybe it wasn't meant to be. And that is actually something else that I'm trying to really learn and work on. And something that I want to share with everybody else out here is that you don't need to have every plant. Not every plant is meant for you. Not every plant will like your environment or your care routine, and that is completely fine. And I think we should normalize just not sacrificing our own lives and sanity for a plant. Give it the best conditions you can within your needs, but like, don't go above and beyond killing yourself over a plant. So there we go, Melanochrysum all potted up, looking like a cutie, looking like a snack. And I just hope she will do well. Please don't do me dirty. Like, I literally gave you super expensive soil, a moss pole. Like, she's living the life, okay? Oh God, my feet hurt. Oh God, I need to get some kind of table set up here, because as much as I love being on the floor and repotting on the floor, it hurts my legs after some time, especially in these like long repotting sessions. Anyways, we are moving on to the last plant, which is gonna be my Alocasia Watsoniana. I freaking love this plant. I think this is one of like the most beautiful alocasias out there. She finally has a new growth point, which is amazing. But as you can see, I'm growing this in semi-hydro in just like a little cup, and honestly I'm so done with this like cup lifestyle. First of all, it looks ugly, but above everything else, I have such a hard time finding the water line in this thing, especially when it gets like algae ridden like this. And I always struggle finding the water line, and I never know if I need to add water or if I added too much water. So I just want to move her into a regular self-watering pot with a indicator. So yeah, this should be a pretty easy repot. I just basically want to get her into something that has a indicator, and also just like get rid of, I can see like some rotted old soil roots, and I just want to check out her root situation. Now, is this the smartest thing, especially when she has like a new little growth spike? No, alocasias are very sensitive to having their roots touched, and I feel like this alocasia in particular is quite a sensitive one, but honestly, I am not worried. I am not worried at all. Alrighty, so the root system isn't massive, but it is decent. It is a cute, decent root system. I can't complain too much, so I think this will be fine. So I'm just gonna go ahead and plop it in here and fill it in. Very easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Something that I stopped doing has been rinsing my semi-hydro. I used to religiously rinse my semi-hydro, and I would always, give the advice of, if you're gonna use semi-hydro, make sure to rinse it before you use. And that is such a hassle. So what I would do nowadays is I would pot up the plant, I would take it outside and just like really rinse the whole container, pot, plant, and make sure that I remove most of the dust and debris that way. But honestly, when it comes to semi-hydro, even if you rinse it like beforehand, you're always gonna have some level of dust and debris, and just like, because these are rocks, like they clash against each other and they will just get dusty over time. So that's just something that you can't avoid. But I feel like just regularly, what's it called? What's the word? Not draining, regularly flushing. That's the word I was looking for. Regularly flushing your plants definitely helps get rid of some of that debris, but I've never had any issues. And thinking about it, like, plants grow outside in the dirt and on rocks and stuff, so like I'm sure a little bit of debris from like some rocks won't hurt them. But yeah, anyway, this was a very quick job. Alocasia Watsoniana. I love repotting and playing with my plants, but honestly, the mess it creates, dear Lord, I can't handle the mess. But anyway, we are at the end of this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more planty content, and turn on the notifications so you're notified about every new video. Let me know in the comment section below if you did any plant chores. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know if there's any like exciting things happening in your plant collection as of right now. I would love to hear from you. I hope you have a super amazing, fabulous, gorgeous day, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye!